So everybody, thanks so much for listening. If you're listening to us as a first timer, please subscribe, share this interview, please share it. We're trying to get this out to as many people as possible. We have a special guest on, Laura Browne. She has a book out, and definitely check it out. And I'm going to give the website to learn more about her also in just a minute. She's the author of Increase Your Income, 7 Rules for Women Who Want to Make More Money at Work. And that's very important, not only for the woman, but for the men or the spouse that they are married to, because everybody's living in the same household. So you want as much money as you can. Again, Laura Browne, if you want to find more about her, it's careertipsforwoman.com. Laura, thanks so much for spending time with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Rob. I am delighted to be here today.
Okay. And for the people that are listening, we had quite a conversation, but we won't get into that right now before that. So the energy was drained, and we're going to try to raise the energy level back up as the interview goes on.
We can do that. We can do it, Rob.
Okay. So first of all, tell the audience a little bit about you and why you wanted to write this book.
Well, so many years ago, I was new in my career, and I thought, I want more money. And I thought, no big deal. I will go and talk to my boss. So, I got my stuff together and I prepared and I went in and talked to my boss, and he shut me down immediately. I mean, he said no right away. And I was so embarrassed and I was so upset. And I thought, oh my God, I'm just going to quit my job. I just can't even go back. I thought it was terrible. But fortunately, I actually talked to a friend of mine that night, and she said, well, why did he say no? And I said, I don't know. He just said no. And so I went back in the next day. I did not quit my job. And I did have a really good boss. I'm actually still in contact with him. He's a nice guy. And I said, why did you say that I wasn't going to get a raise? He said, no, I said you weren't going to get a raise now. It's not raise time. And that was the first time I realized that in my company, that there was a certain time of the year to get raises, and it wasn't raise time. And then I did ask a really good question. I said, so what do I need to do to get the best raise possible? So we talked about it. And a couple of months later, when it was raise time, I got a really good raise. But that sort of started me on the quest and the journey to think about, well, what was holding me back? Because I started talking to my friends like, oh my gosh, you asked for a raise. I can't believe you did that. And so I started looking at confidence. I started looking at asking for what you want. I started looking at how to get your message across, communication. And then I spent about 9 years working at a company called Women Unlimited, where I helped women from Fortune 100 companies to be more successful. And I did more research and stuff like that. Fast forward to today, I've been talking to women about this, and I thought, I need to write it down. And there are 7 rules. And by the way, you mentioned men. The rules work for men also, my 7 rules. I just happen to focus it on women because studies show over and over again that women are less likely to ask for a raise and are less likely to negotiate when they're given a salary offer. So I thought, I'm going to focus on women, but share it with guys. So that's what brought me to this.
Well, we're also seeing women still getting paid way less than men.
Way less. I think it's like the last statistic I looked at was about 83%. On average, women are still making about 83% that men do. Now, there are plenty of women that are making more than men, but when you look at the statistics, it's still like, seriously, it's 2022. Why are we still talking about this?
Well, why are we still talking about a lot of issues?
Well, that's true.
Healthcare.
Well, but I've been talking about this for years and years. And one of the other reasons I got into this is I thought my daughter was a young teenager. And I thought when she gets in the workforce, I hope she doesn't have to deal with all of these things. Well, it's been years and years and years, and I'm still talking about it. I was hoping at some point I wouldn't have to talk about it anymore. But, it's still a problem. And that's why we're talking about it. But the more we talk about it, the more people bring it up and the more people realize there's something you can do about it. Like, okay, I got to tell you, I was talking to somebody a couple of months ago, and I was talking to her about how to negotiate a salary, a raise. So I'm sorry, not a raise, a better salary at a new job. And she said, is it really okay if I do that? And she put her head down and she's like, is it really okay to negotiate? I'm like, yes, it's okay to negotiate. And she asked one question I told her to do, and she got an extra $5,000 just by asking one question. Yeah. So you can do it.
Talked about this on this program on the dating scene, that I feel like women have more power than men, especially in dating apps. Because you go on the dating app, the men can swipe right for you and with any dating app right now. But if the woman doesn't swipe right, you're not going to get to talk to that woman, period. So they have the power, I feel like, in those kind of apps, and most millennials and even the older than that crowd use those dating apps. Even the young people do too. So they have the power in that. But are you seeing different kind of woman? I
That's
don't know if
really
that's strange.
interesting. I'm not sure that I am. So let me tell you, so I was coaching a woman, she's in her 30s. And and she's in a really good position in her company. And she was talking to me about, she was afraid to, get a promotion and ask for a raise and things like that. And it was interesting. So I'm still seeing the same kinds of things that I've been seeing for years, even with women who are in really good positions in their companies. And she has a very supportive boss, but she was still nervous. And it was still a lot of the same old, well, I don't know that I deserve it. And I don't know that I should ask for it. Oh, and here's the other one that I continue to hear. Well, my boss should just know. The company should just give me money. And I will tell you, okay, you're smiling. I will tell you right now that companies, it is nothing personal. Like one of my rules is it's business, it's not personal. Like when you're going for a new job, companies will pay you as little as they possibly can in order to get you there. And they will pay as little as they possibly can to keep you there. I was in human resources for years, and it's nothing personal. It's a numbers game. If they can get you for $50,000 and keep you for $50,000, they will. And if Bob over there asks for 60, and that's the only way they're going to get him, they're going to give him 60. And it's only by you talking about it and by asking and by bringing it up that companies will even look at it. Because again, they want to pay you as little as possible, but keep you there and keep you happy. And it's important to have that discussion to let your boss know, you know what, I need to make more money. And this is why. And then you can have that discussion. The company realizes we do need to pay you more money, and they will.
Well, let's talk about the book a little bit, shall we, Laura?
Yes.
So we have the book, obviously, Increase Your Income, 7 Rules for Women Who Want to Make More Money at Work. Can you talk about the book as far as the rules? And then we can even discuss the rules one at a time. That would be great.
Absolutely. Well, let me just go through. Let me give you sort of a big picture, and let me tell you what I think is really, really important. So the first rule is it's business, it's not personal. So you have to realize that when you're talking about dollars and money, it really is about it's numbers to them. It's not that they don't like you personally. So if you don't get a raise, you have to remember that. The second one is be confident you deserve a raise. So especially for women, confidence is a big one. We talk about how to look, sound, and feel confident. Number 3, build a business case. Don't just go in and say, I want more money. There's got to be a reason. And there's some pretty, you're laughing, but people just go in and say, I want more money because I need to, pay for, my rent is going up. Yeah, that's not a good reason. Build a business case. Number 4, work with your boss. And this is a big one because a lot of people think their boss is stopping them from getting a raise, but your boss is probably your biggest ally. Your boss wants to give you money. And it's normally that he or she is fighting with human resources or fighting with their boss or fighting with their peers to give you more money out of the raise bucket. Number 5 is ask for what you want. Clearly ask for what you want. Don't hint, don't suggest. Number 6 is respond positively no matter what the answer is, whether it's yes, no, or maybe. And then number 7 is no doesn't mean no forever. It means no for right now. And I've heard so many times that women got a no, but there are some things you can do to then understand why is it a no? Like I got a no at first, but I got a really good raise a couple of months later. And so just because you get a no doesn't mean that it's a no forever. And maybe it's a no because maybe your boss doesn't think you deserve a raise, but you find out, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? And you can turn that into a yes. So that's that book. I also want to mention that for some people don't like to read nonfiction books. So my co-author and I actually turned into a fiction book called The Salary Cinderella Story, or How to Make More Money Without a Fairy Godmother. So we took these same 7 steps and we told a story around it. And we told a story about a woman who wants to get a raise and a promotion at work and what happens. So those are the steps. And basically I go through all of them. And the key step, if I were to think about the most important one, it's work with your boss. Because again, I can't tell you how many times in human resources, I would have a boss run into my office and would say, oh my gosh, my key person is quitting. We have to throw some money at her. And by the way, human resources hates that. Okay. They absolutely hate it. And they will do their best. No, don't give a counter offer. And so many times the boss will be like, if she had just asked me, if she had just told me, because I was working on a raise for her, and I've heard that so many times. So work with your boss, even if you think there is no money, talk to your boss, ask about a raise, start the discussion and see what you can do. And if there really isn't any money and decide this isn't for you, then you can go for another job, but work with your boss first.
And I agree. Human resources in the company in general, they're trying to save money. They're trying to put their, boost their profits up. They're
Yep.
not trying to say, hey, okay, it's a good day, we'll give you a raise. I mean, some companies may do that, and God bless them, but majority of the companies are not doing that. I do want to go into some more questions and topics to speak about. And, we talked about this, as talking back and forth before the interview even started about this. So there's 4 words you can use to get a higher starting salary at a new job, because there are a lot of people, especially in this time period, they're either starting new jobs, they're starting their own businesses. But for the people that are starting new jobs right now, and there's a lot of competition out there, $13,
Yep.
$15, $20 an hour. And
Yep.
you say, if you're at, we'll just pick fast food, but if you're at Burger King and they say, hey, we're going to give you 13, you say, well, McDonald's down the street is starting at 17 or 16.
Right.
And say,
Exactly.
we'll come to the middle or something like that, or match them. So how do you do that, especially in this kind of climate?
Well, and that's a great question, especially now, because you're right, there's so much competition. So here's what you do. So you go through the whole interview, and then the person finally says, we want to offer you the job, and the salary is X. And there's that moment where you just want to jump up and say, yes, yes, I'll take it. Don't do that. Here's what you do. You say, first of all, you say that you're really excited. You thank them for the offer. I'm so excited. And then you remind them why you're the best choice. I can't wait to come and bring this to the team, and I know I'm going to help them. And then you pause and say these 4 words. And the 4 words are, is there any flexibility? And then stop talking. Now, here's the key. Stop talking, because so often, especially if we want the job, and I've been in the situation where I really wanted the job, but I knew I had to negotiate. What I wanted to say is, but it's okay if you're not going to give me any more money, because I'm going to take the job anyway. But it's so, because we're so nervous, we might say something dumb. So instead, just say, is there any flexibility? And then stop, and then wait to see what they say. And there'll be an uncomfortable pause. And a lot of times what will happen is they'll say, well, I don't know, because maybe it's not the hiring manager. And so you might just say, well, could you find out and get back to me? I would really appreciate that, because I'm really excited about the job. And then just, again, stop talking. And then now it's in their court. And so they have to come back. So here's what's interesting though. So I talked to somebody, I taught her how to do this, and she got, more money after, and it was a discussion. But somebody else I was working with, she was going for a government job. And she said, look, Laura, it's a government job. It's really not going to matter. And I said, try it anyway. So she asked the question, is there any flexibility? And the interviewer totally floored her by saying, well, of course there is. There's always flexibility. Yeah, exactly. And she was all excited, and she ended up getting a 15% increase.
Wow.
15%. But what was really funny is afterwards, she said to me, I was so mad. And I said, why were you mad? She's like, why did she make me ask? If she knew there was flexibility, why didn't she say the job is between X and X? No, well, she gave me it. And I said, here's the thing, because I talk to a lot of recruiters, and I see a lot of recruiters posting things like that. They say it's not their job. And a lot of times they'll know that they have between X and Y, but they're supposed to give you X. And they're waiting to see if you're going to say, is there any flexibility? Or, can you do better? Or what kind of flexibility is there? They're waiting. But unless you say it, they can't do anything. They can't say, you know what? I changed my mind. Let me give you another $5,000. No, they can't do that. They're not allowed to. So you have to ask. But it was really funny, because even though she was mad, she was happy that the person said yes. So you actually might get a yes there. And even if you don't, you've asked. And if they come back 2 days later, because I'm coaching somebody else and she's going to find out tomorrow, then you can even ask. So let's say there's no more salary. You should be asking, okay, well, what else do you want? Maybe, you want money to take classes. Maybe you want a certificate. Will they pay for that? Is there extra PTO you can get? Is there, okay, is there a hiring bonus you can get? Maybe there's no money in the salary bucket, but you can get an extra hiring bonus. I've actually had somebody get a stay bonus, stay for a year, and we will pay you X amount of dollars. So there can be more money out there, even if it's not in the salary bucket.
Right. And you know what? And this is kind of to go into the interview process, but you kind of brought that up when we were
Mhm.
talking about, new jobs. So I've done this before, and I got yelled at by somebody. Uh,
What?
no, like this was back in like after college and my master's
Yeah.
degree. I was in an interview, and I've been in quite a few interviews and they ask you this question. Almost every interview I've been in has asked me this question. At the end of the interview, they say, "Do you have any questions for us?"
Uh-huh.
And most people just say no.
Oh.
And I think that's the problem. And it
Mhm.
goes, whether it's a salary thing, but I was always told this: you ask a question back about whether it's the job or,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. So you make up some question just to make sure that,
Oh
people
yeah.
that you're not one of those people that just say, "Nope, I don't have any
Yeah.
questions." And then ask them about the pay, the
Mhm.
benefits, if they don't bring that up, and then is there flexibility, like you said, and leave the ball in their court and
Mhm.
let them answer that questions, and just close your mouth, zip it shut, and shut the heck up. But a lot of people, like you said, don't do that, and then they leave the money on the table because
Well, let me make a suggestion though.
sure,
I
go ahead.
do not suggest that you ask what's the salary. Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
When you get to that point, I absolutely agree with you that you need to be ready with a couple of questions at the end, because if
Right.
you say I have no questions, that's a problem. I mean, I have typical questions. Now I've already looked at the company, and so typically I ask, what is the biggest thing that this job will be working on, or why is
Yeah.
this role open, or what would the person that you hire for this role need to do to be most successful? Or so I always have some things I will ask. I actually don't want to discuss salary right away until I convince them I am the right person. And I don't want to ask about benefits till later on, because if you ask about benefits too early, they'll think you're only in it for the benefits. So basically the
Fair.
whole time I'm trying to convince them I am the right person. I'm the right person. Then we'll talk about the money. So if somebody even asks me early on, they're like, well, what's your salary? What salary are you looking for this job? A lot of times I will say, well, I need to know more about this job first in order to find out, in order to tell you what salary I want. And then I try and deflect it. And then if I say, no, come on, tell me what salary you really want. Then I'll say, and this is a key question, I'll say, well, what's the salary for the position? What's the salary range? And you would be surprised. Sometimes they tell you. And then I'll
Yeah.
say, one time I said, no, that's not within my salary range at all. I thought this was a senior position. But most of the time I'll say that's within the range, as long as it is sort of within the range. And then let's keep going. And then so now I know what the range is. If they really, really say, no, tell me what salary you're looking for, I will give them a big range. And the bottom of the range is the least amount that I will accept, but I want to let them know I really want more than that.
As we go in more in depth into the interview, so when do you think, say you've been working in a job, whether it's been 2 years,
Mhm.
5 years, 20 years, or even more than that, when is it time for the person to ask for that raise? Is there a time period that you
Yeah,
think? Yeah,
there
go ahead.
there is. Well, first of all, if you've been there for 5 years and you haven't gotten a raise, you really, it's really a little late. So typically now every company is different, but typically companies look at raises once or twice a year. And so what I always say is, first of all, find out when the raise time is in your company. Again, most companies have some sort of time when they look at promotions or reviews or something. And the time to ask for a raise is about 3 to 4 months before that. So if if like January 1st, if January is when people start getting raises and stuff, then certainly by September or October, you need to ask. And a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, why am I asking that early?
Hmm.
Because if you sit down and you're talking to your boss and your boss is saying, okay, you get a 5% raise, and you try to negotiate, it's too late. Because by that time, even if your boss agrees with you, yeah, you should get a higher raise, it means he or she has to go back and fight human resources and have to fight with their boss. So it's very difficult at that point to get agreement. Instead, 3-4 months earlier, what happens is departments are starting to decide what the bucket is for raise money. You need to be talking to your boss saying, what can I do to get the best raise possible? And your boss might say, well, you're doing it. No, what specifically? And also what you should be doing every week or every 2 weeks is sending your boss an update. And it will help your boss an update on not only what you're doing, but why it has value. And so then you can take all these updates and remind your boss 3 to 4 months in advance, what else do I need to do to get the best raise possible? Because if your boss doesn't think that you should be getting a raise, you need that time to make sure that you fix those things. And if your boss does think that you should get a raise, you're just reminding them, and what else do you need? What else? I know you probably have to talk to the compensation committee or your boss. What else would help you support the case for me to get a good raise? Again, that goes back to work with your boss. So my answer is 3 to 4 months before it's raise time.
For people listening, again, Laura Browne, careertipsforwomen.com. For the woman listening, and unfortunately, we do have a pretty male-dominated audience, but we do have some women, 7% women that do listen to this program, according to the analytics. What last advice would you leave them?
The last advice I would leave for everybody is ask for what you want. And again, it seems so simple, but we hint, we suggest, we hope, we expect. And if we don't get it, then we think, well, maybe my boss can't give it to me, or maybe I can't get it. You have to ask, and you have to ask again. So just because you ask once doesn't mean you're going to get it. It's okay to hear no, but ask for what you want. And if you hear no, then deal with it and work on it until you can get a yes.
I agree 100%. Again, Laura Browne. And definitely check out the book, Increasing Your Income, 7 Rules for Women Who Want to Make more money at work. And also, again, careertipsforwomen.com. Laura, thanks for coming on, and we hope to see you again sometime soon.
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking with you.